Hello guys, my name is Engineer Alidi. I want to discuss sequence and series. And first, what is a sequence? Sequence. So a sequence is a set of quantities written in what? In a definite pattern. Definite what? Pattern or order. So when we talk about what sequence is a set of quantities written in a definite pattern or order. Full stop. Now, what we call most of the times the terms in a sequence, the terms in a sequence are separated by comma. So it is comma that we use to separate them. So the terms in the sequence are separated by comma. For instance, let's say U1, U2, U3. For example, like this, where what? Where U1 is the what? The first term. U1 is the first term. U2 is the second term. Is the second term. Then U3 is the third term, and so forth and so on. But U3 is the third term. Then UN is what? Is the end term. Is the end term. So that means to say that these ones are what? This is a sequence. If you check each of the 10, U1, U2, U3, all of them are all separated by use of comma and down to end term. Now the sequence if you have it like this, for example, it becomes a series. Series is U1 plus U2 plus U3 plus UN, which you can also write as what? Sum of what? I1 to what? To N, then UI. You can write it that way. In this case, now this is sum. So most of the times we use a sign, either negative or positive sign to what? To separate terms in a series. But sequence we use comma. Now we in a sequence we have sequence are either finite or infinite sequence. It can either be either finite, that is sequence that what? That terminates or that ends. So if you have a sequence that ends in a what particular word given question, for example, let's say I give you 2, 4, 8, 100. This is a finite sequence. But if you have sequence that what do not end, so it can either be finite or I suppose we put or infinite. Infinite. It can either be sequence are either finite or infinite. That means sequence that terminate are finite, while sequence that do not terminate are infinite what? Sequence. So please take note of that. If I give you sometimes 2, 4, 8, and now separate dot, 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 like this. It means that this sequence does not terminate. It tends to infinity. So that is a sequence of what? Of infinite what? 1. Now, we have what we call, let me give you an example of what? Of example of sequence. If I have 1, 3, 7, 9, 11, and so forth and so on. These are examples of what? Of sequence. We can still have it like 2, 4, 6, 8, and so forth and so on. We can even have as what? 3, 6, 12, 24, 48, and so forth and so on. These are what? Example. Now, but we can, these are sequence examples. Now, but there are two types of sequence. So, even as I give example, there are examples of sequence. We have the what? The linear sequence, and we have what? Exponential sequence. We have the linear sequence and we have the exponential sequence. So the linear sequence are also called the AP, while the exponential sequence are called GP. What do we call them? Arithmetic what? Progression. Arithmetic what? Progression. Why we call this one what? The geometric what? Arithmetic what? Arithmetic what? Progression. Why we call the other one geometric progression? So progression. Now, what is what? An arithmetic progressions. They are progressions or sequence with a constant what? Difference. With a constant difference. And this difference is what we call the common difference. Yes, there are what? A pattern, a set of quantities or a set of what? Numbers written in irregular pattern with a constant difference. And that constant difference is what we call common difference. Now, exponential difference are what? A set of what? Numbers or set of quantities written in a definite pattern or order in which the previous what? Term is multiplied by a what? Or is multiplied by a common factor. Common factor. That means if I have, for example, exponential GP or exponential sequence is what is 3, 6, 12, 24, 48. Now, if we check, if you multiply 3, the previous one with 2, we're going to have what? 6. Multiply this one by 2, we have 12. 12 multiplied by 2, we have 24. 24 multiplied by 2, we have 48. So that is to say that the previous term are being multiplied by a constant or a common factor known as the common ratio. So we have the common ratio here that coexists in exponential what? Progression or exponential what? Sequence. Now, having known that there are other sequence, like for example, we have what they call an alternating what? Sequence. An alternating sequence exists in a sequence of this manner. Let's say we have what? Minus 1 plus what? 4 minus what? Let's say 9 plus 16 and so forth and so on. Minus that. Now, what do we call an alternating sequence? Is a what? A sequence with an alternate what? Positive and negative what? Signs. With an alternate what? Negative and positive sign. These are what? Alternating what? Sequence. Why? Because the negative and the positive are what? alternating. They alternate, they change sign between positive and negative sign. And if you have something like this, it's mostly defined as this, or we define it like this. Let me use UN, UI. Then let's say you can have it like this also. Now, let me put, let me use another term. Let's say AN. Let me use VN. Now, look at the board. The AN are non-negative real number. AN and BN are what? Non-what? Negative what? Real number. Why this minus 1 always per n? If your first term is start with a negative sign, then followed by second term with positive, third term negative, fourth term positive, you use this first one. But if your first term carry positive and second carry negative, third one carry negative, I mean first one carry positive, second one negative, third one positive, fourth one negative, then use the second one. So anytime the odd term are carrying what? Negative, start use this what? Alternative series. Then anytime the even term are carrying what? Or the odd term, this is what? First, third, and fifth, use this one. But if what? Let's say they start with first one with positive, not that it is even. If the first one start with positive, you use this one. Then if the first one start with negative, you use this one. That's the alternative series. We have other series. We have absolute series. But what we are majoring on, or what we want to still be talking about, is more or less like linear sequence and exponential sequence. Although alongside all those other sequence will come into play. So I believe I'll be able to introduce this first class effectively well about what we call a sequence and a series. Not only a series, the what? You can use what? A plus and minus sign to separate the terms. While sequence, we use comma to separate them. My name is Engineer Halide again. God bless you. I wish you success.